Alright, so this is a BSR XL-1400 linear tracking turntable that I had some issues with recently. The 40-year-old rubber belt that drives the linear tracking tone arm broke, and there isn't a whole lot of information about this turntable online. And I was able to figure it out and sort of come up with a temporary fix. Because there wasn't much information online about it, I figured making a video to demonstrate how to take it apart, even though I don't really know what I'm doing, but maybe it'll be helpful to someone who also has this random obscure turntable. First thing we got to do is take off the dust cover. That's done by tilting this up, and at the right, once it hits the right angle, it should be able to lift out. Yep. It's a little finicky, but it eventually works. There we go. Just like that. Put that off to the side. All right, next thing we're gonna do, we're gonna pick up this mat. Don't need that. And then take off the 45 adapter because we're eventually gonna be turning this upside down. This just lifts off the platter. And this is the belt that didn't fail. All right, so the next thing we're gonna do is remove this screw. It's just one Phillips head screw. Pretty much all you need to work on this thing is a Phillips head screwdriver. So that's pretty awesome. That's an A+ for repairability, I must say. This just, you slide it and it lifts out. And then I'm gonna go ahead and plug it in and power it on. I just need to move this arm so that it can go through here. I'm not a professional and don't know what I'm doing. And there are a bunch of stickers on here that tell you be careful of electric shock. What we gotta do is we gotta flip this thing upside down. And the way I did that before was I rested this part on two cassette cases to prevent damaging the tone arm and stylus and all that. There's 4 screws for the feet. So what I was saying was, I am not a professional. I don't really know what I'm doing. So yeah, this is how I'm disassembled it. Do I recommend doing it this way? I don't know. It worked for me, but this is to be done at your own risk. Once we get all of these screws out, we will be able to lift this cover off, and then we'll be able to lift this off, which holds our tone arm assembly. All right, and then this one just lifts off like so. And then we can lift our tone arm assembly like this, ever so carefully. Keep in mind there are these cables attached, so you have to mind that. Now we have access to the tone arm mechanism. This is pretty cool. It's driven by a DC motor, and then it goes to this pulley, which drives a worm gear, which drives this gear, and then it's pushed along this carriage system. The thing that broke is the belt that goes here. And right now it's being held in place with these little tiny hair rubber bands. In order to get access to this, you need to lift this little board out, which is just held in with a clip. And then you can gently pull up on it and put that to the side. And then you can take your rubber bands off, and then this comes out. This is our replacement belt. Here, I'm gonna put this back in here for now. All right, here is our replacement belt, and all we gotta do is put it on here. put that back in and put this around our DC motor. And then it's as simple as doing all the steps in reverse. There we go. Come on. All right, so we've got our pulley back on our belt, and so now we can test that it works as we expect it to. And everything appears to work, so we want to send it back this way, and we want to make sure that when we flip this over that it passes to the right side of the standoff in the center here. Otherwise, when you put it all back together and it tries to home itself, it will get caught there, and it literally like gets stuck in this. It makes a terrible grinding noise. Don't ask me how I know. So we can lower this back in here and make sure these wires are going to the right side. And now we can start putting it back together. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this back on here. Be careful when you're screwing these in, because the standoffs are just plastic threaded. So it's very possible to strip the standoffs. On here. And we can stop playback and put our cover back in place. Calling that it slides in. If you wanted to replace this as well, it's just a matter of getting this on the turntable and kind of holding it like that, getting the platter in place, and then hooking it around our little motor there, putting the mat back on, and the dust cover. And just like that, we have a fully functioning, well, mostly fully functioning BSR XL-1400.